Happy Chinese New Year, friends. So this is the time of year when a lot of you will be getting together with your families and cooking beautiful dinners and feasts. And I wanted to put together a collection of recipes that are traditionally cooked this time of year to bring you wealth, prosperity, good fortune for the year. Now look out for each of the intros for the recipes because I'll be letting you know what that recipe symbolizes. First up, we have spring rolls, which happen to look a little bit like gold bars, so they symbolize wealth. All right, let's do the filling part first of all, because this is where we get like our cheeseburger vibes from. So the all-important thing is the beef. Now the easy way to get a nice juicy filling, or even just a juicy burger, is to use beef with a little bit of fat. We don't want the really lean beef here. We want something that's got a bit of character. So that's my beef. And now we add all the little flavorings in here. So first off, I want some onion. You don't want too much onion here, just like sort of like half of a small onion is good. And now, of course, because for me, you can't have a cheeseburger without the pickles, I have some pickles here. It's the combination of that onion and the pickle flavor that really gives you the cheeseburger thing going on here. And I like to go hard on the pickles. Now, we need some mustard as well. You guys are really getting a sense of what kind of burger I like to eat. Pickles, onion, mustard, cheese, all the things. Some salt here because of course you always want to have a well-seasoned burger patty. I need some pepper here as well. And now just give this a mix. And the key here is that you don't want to do this too vigorously. I really want to keep my beef mixture nice and loose because then I've got a nice kind of soft, sort of almost like a smashed burger kind of texture going on inside of my spring roll rather than like a big firm hunk of something. Like a meatball or something like that. So just keep it nice and loose. So that is our filling done. And see how, it's well mixed, but it's all quite loose in there. So that's exactly what we want. And now before we get into rolling our spring rolls, I'm just gonna make a little flour mixture here. Now, a lot of the time, spring roll recipes will tell you just to use an egg wash or some water. Look, I find you just don't get the best seal when you do that. So I like to make a little flour glue. It's very simple, just a bit of flour. So an equal amount of water here. And now this is the kind of gluey, pasty situation that you're after. And now we're ready to do our wrapping. So I've just got some spring roll wrappers. And in fact, let's just, wait, should I call them egg rolls or spring rolls? Because Americans are gonna call them spring rolls, egg rolls. Egg rolls, spring rolls.
Egg rolls, spring rolls?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yes, so in fact, in Australia, we call egg rolls spring rolls. And I think typically in the US, when they say spring rolls, they're referring to, like those Vietnamese cold rolls, Dax? Yeah. So, sure. Yeah, so that's the deal.
My whole life. Just blowing my mind.
All right, so depending on where you are in the world, you would have bought your egg roll wrapper or your spring roll wrapper from a supermarket, typically from the freezer section. Just let that packet thaw in the fridge until it's not frozen, which is what thawing is. Just let
have to break everything down. Like, not everyone's as dumb as me.
This is flour. Flour comes from... So just let your egg roll, spring roll wrappers thaw out and then keep them covered under like a damp tea towel while you're rolling out your spring rolls because they can dry out really easily. If they dry out, they crack and not so good. Okay, so just peel off one little piece here. Now the way this goes is we get one of our spring roll wrappers here and then grab yourself a little portion of your beef mix. And it really depends. You can go your own adventure here, however big or small you want to make them. I've got the large spring roll sheets here, so I'm going to go with a fairly hefty, chunky kind of cheeseburger feeling here. And then I want a slice of Swiss cheese. And now wrap up your beef in that cheese. You can see where this is going, huh? And now just a classic spring roll fold, not so classic filling, but classic fold Now you don't want to do these too tight. They do kind of tend to explode a little bit. They're a little bit ugly delicious, but delicious none the same. But if you just leave them a little loose, you kind of leave the beef room to expand and not split too much. Just when you're at the top there, grab yourself some of your flour glue. Really give that a good seal. I want to try and keep as much of the cheese in there as possible. They do tend to leak a little bit, but it won't be too bad if you kind of seal it up. There we go. Our very cute little spring roll. Well, not so little, but it's quite a chunky spring roll. But, you know, it's a cheeseburger spring roll. Okay, just keep on going. Can you let me know if I've got resting bitch face, Dax?
Think back to your reality days.
Smile, smile, smile.
All right, so by now you have a lovely tray full of big, fat, juicy cheeseburger spring rolls. What we want to do now is cook these guys. You could totally do this in some hot oil if you wanted to. I actually quite like doing these in the air fryer because they're cheesy, they can leak a little bit. You don't want to have all that oil spatter and mess everywhere. So I'm going to get these into the air fryer. Now you just want a little bit of spray in the bottom here, just a little bit of oil. And now you don't want to overcrowd things too much in here because I want lots of nice hot airflow around so that we get lots of nice color on the outside. Now I'm going to give these guys 20 minutes in total, but I want 10 minutes first of all because I'm going to come back and turn them over. And that gives us plenty of time to make our spicy ketchup sauce. So this is a very simple but devastatingly delicious burger sauce. Trust me guys, this is like my go-to. I start out with some ketchup. And then I like to go in here with my very own coconut sriracha sauce. I love this one guys, it's tangy, it's got just the slightest little hint of like coconut creaminess, but really it's all about like the hot spicy. So you could use any hot sauce that you love here, or you could even go in with like a sweet chili sauce as well if you wanted to keep things less spicy, but I'm all about more spicy. Ooh, they're certainly starting to smell like cheeseburgers. Ooh, that was good. So we're a little cheesy in here, we're a little messy, but that's all right. I kind of like the cheesy, leakage. You get some like crusty cheese on the outside. So anyway, just turn these guys over and another 10 minutes. Okay, so it's really smelling like cheeseburger town in here. Ooh, look at that. Cheesy, there's like, oh, it's beautifully golden, lovely. Now I just need to get these out onto my plate here. And I've got some extra pickles here because, I mean, you can never have too many pickles. And there you go, friends. Cheeseburger and spring roll. I mean, come on, that's just, ooh, I'm so excited. All right, I'm gonna get in here. Oh, look at that cheese. So cool. I need a bit of sauce here, of course. Wow, that is just too ridiculous. I mean, it's so cheeseburger, but crispy, spring roll thing going on. Too good. I am now gonna eat a million of these. Yum. I've included this next recipe because it's a really easy way to cook and serve a whole duck. And not only that, duck symbolizes wealth and prosperity for the year. So, great recipe to have at your table this Chinese New Year. Let's get started with the filling or the fragrance and the little flavors we're going to put inside of the duck first. So, I want some garlic first of all. Just want to crush these cloves. And I want some star anise as well. It's going to lend a beautiful perfume while that duck cooks. And some slices of ginger. And some spring onion. Now I want to take these aromatics and pop them into the cavity of our duck. Let's talk about the duck and how we can prepare it so that we get the very best out of it when we're cooking. Now have a look here and you can see the duck skin on my duck is very dry. I've patted it down with paper towel. That's important because that's going to help us get nice and crispy in the oven. Now the other thing is that unlike when you're roasting a chicken, the object of roasting a duck is to release as much of the fat as possible. With a chicken, we're trying to retain the juices and the fat because that can dry out. So this is the opposite. What you want to do is score the duck so we can get more of that fat easily escaping as it cooks. So I like to do a diamond pattern across the top. Start on the diagonal and then the other way. Okay, so duck is sitting pretty at the moment. What we now need is a really nice salt and spiced kind of rub. So I'm going to use quite a bit of salt here. The salt also helps with the crispiness as well as the flavor. And then I've got some Chinese 5-spice. Now this is my homemade version of Chinese 5-spice and it has the most amazing fragrance. You really notice the difference when you make it at home. So check out my YouTube channel, you'll find the recipe for that one there. Just want a few spoonfuls of that and just give that a mix. And now you want to sprinkle and rub this mixture into your duck very well. Make sure we're getting all the little bits and pieces. Make sure you're getting lots of that spiced salt mixture everywhere. Okay, so this duck is ready to go into the oven and it's going to be in there for quite a while, about 3 or 4 hours at a really low heat. And that way we're going to get crisp skin, we're going to render the fat, and we're going to get beautiful, really tender meat. So what do we need to cook the duck in? Now, my choice here is a large roasting tray, but instead of having a roasting rack here, I just put some little pieces of foil because we're going to have to take out some of the fat as the duck cooks. And if you've got this on a roasting rack, well then you can't really easily get in there to scoop the fat out. There is method to the madness here. It just makes it easier. Now, all you need to do is pop this guy into the oven. As I said, take out some of that fat as it cooks. And that's it, guys. Just a little bit of patience. Now that is looking amazing. Look at that skin. Ah, perfection. Now this skin is so super crispy and tasty. Don't worry if there are a few little imperfections. I'm just gonna cover that up with a little bit of spring onion. Now you won't believe how soft that duck meat is underneath that skin. Oh, look at that. Just a couple of forks, shred that up at the table. And what it's done is it's almost like it's confit in its own juices and fat. Beautiful. Now I have to try a piece of skin. That 5-spice and the saltiness. Now there are so many different ways that you can serve this duck. One of my favorites is to just get it out on the table so everyone can just tear strips off it and eat it with some fluffy bao buns. Now what you want to do with your bao bun is just spread it with a little bit of hoisin, some cucumber and some of that duck. Maybe a little bit more hoisin and some spring onion. And that is such a beautiful way to enjoy this duck. That duck is so epic. Amazing. Red cooked pork belly bao buns. Now not only does this dish look really impressive, so it's a great one to have for parties, but also the bao bun represents a wallet filled with wealth. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, my friends, this is going to be a bit of a process. Not a hard process, but it will require a little bit of patience. It'll be worth it in the end though, I totally promise. Let's get going on making our red braised pork belly first of all. Now, I just need some soy sauce and you want some dark sweet soy sauce as well. So this is gonna give us a really beautiful, deep, dark color, which is the kind of characteristic of red braising. And then I want some brown sugar and a few spices here. So I've got some cinnamon sticks, some fennel seeds, and some star anise as well. And now for some fresh aromatics, I want some spring onion and some ginger. Now just give that a bit of a mix and get that heating up so that sugar starts to dissolve in that sauce. Now let's talk pork belly. So when you're going to buy a pork belly, try and get a nice hefty piece and make sure you don't have too much fat. Not all pork belly pieces are the same. I like to get one with nice layers of meat in there. Actually in Thai we call this mu sam chan, which is translated as 3 levels. So you kind of get the levels of meat and fat. Now, if I have a look at my pork belly and my dish that I've chosen here, you don't want a really large roasting tray because you're going to have to add too much water to kind of get some coverage on the meat. But if I see here, it's not quite going to fit in as it is, so I'm going to just slice that in half. 2 pieces will make it easier to kind of squish in there, and also it means that we've got more surface area for that braising liquid to kind of work its magic. I've got some bubbles happening here, and I'm going to pop my pork in. Let's see how we go with space. Now add in some water, and I want enough so that my pork belly is going to be covered when I put a bit of a weight on it. Let's have a look. Let's turn these pieces over. A little bit more water. Now I want to pop some baking paper on top of this first of all. Now to press that pork down, make sure it's submerged in that liquid while it's cooking. I'm just going to put a bunch of foil on top, and when I put the lid on, that foil and the pressure of the lid is going to keep that pork under the braising liquid. Now traditionally Chinese red braising happens on the stovetop, but I find with low and slow, long stovetop cooking, you're kind of, coming back all the time, gets too hot, it's not hot enough, all that kind of stuff. I just like to pop it in the oven. It's just easier. All right, so you want to give this about 2 hours for that pork to get really soft and tender. Okay, so this is smelling incredible. All those beautiful spices and aromatics. Yum, just filling my kitchen with so much joy. Now I did turn the pork over a couple of times just to make sure we get a really beautiful even color. And let's see how we've gone. Oh, look at that. See, that's the color that I'm talking about with traditional Chinese red braising. It's a deep, dark mahogany. Looks so appetizing already. So let's get these guys out onto a tray. Now they're not quite done yet. I'm going to strain off this braising liquid and then pour that flavor-packed liquid straight back over the top of the pork. And now I want to let this sit in the fridge overnight. 1, because it's going to soak up even more flavor, and 2, because I want that pork belly to firm up a little bit so I can slice it before grilling. Now just put some baking paper on top of there, and then I'm going to weight this down because that way I'm going to get a really nice, firm, pressed piece of pork. All right, now into the fridge. Okay, so here we are. Pork has had its time in the fridge. Let's do the big reveal. Still such a beautiful color. Now what we want to do here is clean up some of the fat that's solidified at the top here. Now take out that pork belly, save that for a bit later. Now this liquid is like pure gold, flavor gold that is. I'm going to strain it off. Now this is a master stock that you can use for so many different things. Pop it into the freezer, you can use it to braise another cut of meat, braise some chicken, add to noodle soups. Wow, so many different ways to use it. Do not waste it. I only need a cupful to finish off my buns here. And I want to let that sauce simmer away until it's really glossy and thickened a little bit. Right, now let's take a look at the rest of our bits and pieces. I've got some of my fluffy homemade bao buns here. So go and check out the video on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook channel. The recipe's on my website as well. They're so incredibly easy to make at home, I promise. So give them a try. Now you can also buy store-bought ones, of course. We also need here a spicy mayo because it's me and I like things spicy. So I'm going to add in some of my coconut sriracha. You could use any kind of hot sauce that you love at home, and just mix that in with some mayonnaise. And then let's get going on our pork. So take one of your pieces. Now this pork is actually really super soft and tender, so it's great that it's been refrigerated because it's going to make it easier to slice. Otherwise it would just melt away. So I want a fairly generous piece of pork here. Now this is a great idea for when you've got people over because you can do all of this in advance. You can get your pork sliced up, your sauce done, bao buns made, and then at the last minute all you need to do is sear off your pork belly. And this is the fun part. So once the pork's had a couple of minutes on that first side, let's turn the pieces over, and you need to be gentle here because, as I said, that pork is uber tender, very soft. Oh, look at that beautiful color, and it's just about to get even better. take some of that reduced sauce and drizzle that over the top. Now give these guys another couple of minutes here. I really want the sauce and the pork and the heat to work its magic. All right, so that pork, check it out. I mean, it's like its own little work of art in there. Ah, it's almost too good to disturb, almost. All right, let's get our bun together. Now open up your bun here, add some of the spicy sauce, and now just some finely shredded cabbage. We want a little bit of crunch and freshness here. And then of course you want a piece of pork. Now a smattering of spring onion and some crushed roasted peanuts. And there you go. You can pile those up, or you can serve the pork and the bao buns and everything so everyone can help themselves. Don't forget to add a little bit of extra spicy sauce here at the end, just because, you know, everyone needs some extra spicy. Let me pick out the perfect specimen. Who am I kidding? They all look perfect. All right, let's see how we've gone. That is incredible. That super soft pork is sticky and sweet and fragrant. And that spicy cut through at the end is so perfect. You want to be making this for the people you love. Nothing says I love you like a bao bun.